So the sort of crown to wear for the South American champions. Two teams that both came from South America after having record-breaking seasons in RLCS SAM. But now here in North America, one of the two teams has had a little bit more luck in this season, while the other one is looking for their first win all season long. It may not be RLCS, but Jolly, we can absolutely agree. This series is going to be important.
Oh, right. You know, I mean, this is what it's all led up to, right? How can it not be important? At this point, FURIA has made their way through the entirety of the upper bracket. They have proven time and time again now today that they are who they appear to be on paper and that they are absolutely capable of performing here in NA. And complexity, they've had on games, they've had off games, but they have made it here. They climbed through most of the upper bracket as well and then took down some of the lower, at least the run-throughs and OpTic. So feels pretty good if you're a FURIA fan. Of course, you do get that one game buffer in this best of 7, but still at least a couple more games in the books because it's not a best of 5 anymore.
Yeah, this one's going to be a little bit different here. Again, for those who are unaware, the team coming from the upper bracket for not taking a loss all day long, get an extra game to start this one off. So FURIA only technically need 3 wins versus Complexity, which need to take 4. And that really would be important here in this first game. You do not want to let the other team start off not only hot, but give themselves a 2-game buffer to mess around with. Because if that does happen, that means that FURIA can afford to drop a couple of games, and all they need to do is get 2 more, and that'll be that. They might even be able to start off with the first goal of this series if they can keep up with this momentum, but Complexity well prepared for the first real shot on target. Card turned away very quickly, and now a chance for CRR the other way. He's been the absolute star-studded striker for Complexity all day long. Would not be surprised to see him pop off here in the grand finals as well.
Yeah, you know, it's between CRR for me and, you know, if RazeBull is actually able to perform, RazeBull is absolutely incredible as well. It's just really a solo player. Right there, though, it's going to be Card and FURIA that scores the first one in just over a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an egregious dive there out of Complexity, and then afterwards you can just see it, dive after dive, just trying to get a hand on the ball, and unfortunately it does not work out. Yan does the heavy lifting at the end there, clears the lane, and Card will put one on target, give FURIA the first goal of this series, and give them an early lead as well. Complexity, plenty of time for a response, but like we said, it's a team that struggled against FURIA in that earlier matchup, so they do not want to get back into that same sort of state, that same sort of funk where they're just kind of trying to equal out against FURIA. If that does happen, feeling this grand final is going to be over before it even starts. But getting ahead of myself, 3 minutes to go. Complexity still looking to equal out this game, but Yan has other plans over the entire defense, drags it over everybody, and it's 2-0 to FURIA.
Yeah, and when we're talking about MVPs for FURIA, it depends on the game, because all of them, absolutely all of them, have really been popping off. In particular, you know, it's the Yan Lost combo that has been working really well, with Yan as essentially like the defender and Lost as the shooter there. And hey, you know what? It's working in this game number 1. Again, game number 1, you always consider offer a little bit of a buffer, right? Because they're both feeling each other out. It's a best of 7. Complexity at least is able to put one in, bring things closer to a tie.
That's a good play as well. On top of that, RazeBull just kind of sees the defenders just a bit too far pushed out of net. As long as he can put this perfectly placed, place it low so that Card has to dive off the backboard and into the touch. He can't quite get the touch. So, 2-1, FURIA have their lead cut in half, but they still maintain it. And with over half the game remaining, that's a chance for maybe Complexity to get yet another response. Instead, it's actually Card who's trying to get it past the entirety of the defense. No left in the tank, though, so he can't quite really do much with this ball. Lost, though. There's a lot he can do with the ball. He just puts it a bit off target, though, but FURIA now starting to put on that pressure that we saw them do against Complexity in their earlier series in the day. This team, once they do start to lock you in at midfield, are oh so threatening and can really make you think twice. Lost with a fake out that breaks axles, and it's 3-1 FURIA.
And you can see this coming up. You see the stall and that flip literally just to dodge out. Dekes it past 2 members there. FURIA is, I'll say it again, the one thing that I've seen out of all the teams today is, in terms of consistency, is FURIA has not let any go. They have not dropped any sort of consistency. They have been on point all day, every single game here. And Complexity, like I said, has shown a lot of weaknesses, right? You know, they haven't looked great in series earlier today. And now is really where the pressure comes on, right? Because this team that made it all the way through the winner's bracket, I mean, the expectation, I guess, is, yeah, that they have the opportunity to win, but Complexity has put on a really good show today. So we just got to see them kind of feel themselves out again, go back to basics, like we talked about, rotations, and also show some of that patience that FURIA is really reigning supreme at.
Yeah, we saw this before. Again, Complexity got kind of stomped in their first game of the series in their last one against OpTic, and then had a monumental comeback to really overwhelm OpTic through the next 3 games. So I'm not going to count Complexity out by any stretch of the imagination, but I may count them out of this game. They're not careful. 90 seconds to go. They need 2 goals just to tie it and send us to an overtime, and as they're diving out of midfield, not really able to do much with this ball. It feels like FURIA just need to waste time until eventually that clock expires. Or maybe get a goal the other way. Carr tries to rip one on target, just goes a little bit high. But FURIA apparently not satisfied with their 3 goals. They'd like a 4th and to truly seal the deal here in game number 1.
I gotta see Complexity turn it back on, right? We've seen them hit their stride today. We've seen them find their footing multiple times, and then lose it and then regain it. I know Complexity absolutely has it in them to take this to a full series, and that's what we need. We need a full series today. We asked for, we haven't got a single one at all. Complexity, though, they're at least making some solid moves. A nice attempt at a passing play right there. Loss ends up interrupting that one. Raise Bull, not able to win out on the challenge. Ends up going up and behind, actually. There's no corner 100 to pick up, but AJG with a pass over to CRR gets disrupted. And once again, it's back over to Complexity's defensive side. Whew, that one was scary. It got turned away, though.
Yeah, it does kind of look like Complexity are going to have to accept the fact that with 30 seconds to go, they just don't have enough time to try and turn this one around, especially with FURIA, who are still more or less in control of the ball. You can see it, Complexity kind of hesitating for a half second there, and that's why FURIA continually just have these extended possessions that Complexity have no answer for. So, Complexity, if you want to get this done, you're going to have to win a multitude of games in a row. FURIA already on their 2nd game of the series. They do it twice more, and they're wrapping up this entire tournament, walking away the SteelSeries Cup winners and $5,000 richer. Complexity did not play bad in that first game, but I think you and I can both agree, Jolly, overwhelmingly in FURIA through these first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and, you know, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. Complexity, like I said, we've seen them on, we've seen them off. I have confidence that into this next game, Complexity is going to be able to kind of realign themselves. We've seen, in particular, Raise Bull in that first series pop off. CRR in the last series really, really stood out as a player. I'd like to see AJG do a little bit more in terms of kind of offering the support for them to be able to shoot, because that's where most of those goals have been coming through. But this better not be a sweep. I'm gonna be so upset, Bass. I'm seriously, I'm sweating because I'm worried that this is not going to be even close to a full series. And especially when you have that 1 game advantage, there's no bracket reset. So you got the 1 game advantage instead for the double elimination. I need more games. I want more games, and I would like to see more of Complexity when they're on. Because when they're on, oh my God, are they on?
And Complexity has shown that when they do have that sort of, that swagger to them, where they're just kind of free-flowing, not thinking twice about it, they can take down some of the best that the world has to offer. They proved it at the last major. They've proven it in regionals past, but here in the SteelSeries Cup, it's just been a different day. Again, OpTic with a lower bracket run that nobody would have ever expected. We're seeing this now at a Complexity, who are facing FURIA, a team that have not made a grand finals appearance like this throughout the entire season. So, there's a lot on the line for both of these teams. There's a Complexity who is hot off the tail of what is maybe an underwhelming result for them at the major versus a FURIA who have yet to have a result that can really solidify their position here in North America. Let's see, can they do it here and now? Can they find a win in game number 3, technically game number 2, and put themselves on match point early and give a bit of a safety net? Time will tell. It is actually Complexity with the first offense here, but quickly denied. Or excuse me, it was FURIA with a quick offense here, but Complexity who deny and now get a chance the other way.
A nice little attempt right there. You've got CRR with the disruption on the backside. It was a really good attempt. AJG gets the shot on goal. Raise Bull ends up passing it over. It's a bit of a drop at the midfield line. And a nice adjustment there by FURIA. Bringing this one back to the midfield line. Complexity ensuring that they grab the hundreds on their side. CRR beating out Yan in that challenge. Stalled a bit at the midfield. It's a nice pass. It's over to AJG. It's on shot. And CRR is going to find the first one for Complexity. 40 seconds in.
Huge for Complexity to finally get a solid string of passing plays together. It's not just the goal that impresses me. It is how they do it. CRR swinging from the side corner. Immediately rips one on, and it's with perfect precision to the top right. That is the Complexity that you and I have been waiting for. That first game may have had us a little bit shaky, but I think now Complexity can try and run with the momentum they have found and really reinstill confidence in this orange side. They do need to hold on for a decent amount of time. Over 4 minutes left here in this game, and I don't think that 1 goal is just going to be enough to sweep on by FURIA.
Definitely not to sweep on by, that's for sure, because FURIA, we've seen, can retaliate very quickly. can get several goals in a row, especially when they're actually behind, which of course doesn't happen very often, but we'll have to see if they're capable of retaliating now, because Complexity is looking a lot better. They're actually doing some of these anticipatory plays, right, that we're used to seeing. I feel like I've been dogging on Complexity, and it's literally because I'm like disappointed, man. I'm really disappointed in how Complexity has kind of played today. They looked like themselves that first series that we saw. They swept it. They did incredible. It's kind of felt like they've been off. And I know that they are absolutely capable of taking on a team like FURIA, even on FURIA's best day. But it's definitely not Complexity's best day. And I'm liking what I'm seeing here. There's progress. Just don't give me a sweep. Just please.
I mean, hey, listen, it was Complexity's best day. For a while, they were looking like an unstoppable beast. The issue has just been that FURIA have seemingly shut down everyone that they have played here today. They've been so good at suppressing offenses due to their just, I wouldn't even say over-egregious dives, because the dives are working. If they weren't working out, sure, we could call them egregious errors. But here, it's over and over again that these dives end up meeting this Complexity side, throwing them into awkward positions, and then eventually they take advantage of it with a shot on target. So, feels like both teams are now starting to fire on full cylinders. The question is who comes out on top, because like you said, if Complexity lose this game, that could spell disaster, because then they need a reverse sweep against FURIA just to try and make this a competitive series.
And it's got to happen sometime soon. There we go. Lost is going to find that. It's a good retaliation, and this is something that, like I said, these team plays, my goodness, these team plays coming out of, it's the same exact two that I've been saying this whole time. Yan and Lost have been setting each other up for the most spectacular plays. So maybe, that could be another consideration. We haven't really seen that many demos this game. As I say it, there's a demo right there. So maybe that's something that Complexity can try to take advantage of, right? A little bit more disruption and trying to kind of aggravate this duo, separate them a little bit, get more opportunities for yourself as a team. And no way that got through. That was so CRR almost did not get that one.
If this had somehow, again, Lost fought so hard for that save. Part of me wishes that FURIA had been able to follow that up and really justify the save that Lost had made, but at the same time, Complexity, 2 rippers in a row. You can't stop every shot that goes on target. Sometimes you just gotta let them fly by, and Complexity will take maybe an even greater lead. No, not quite. The single goal we'll have to do for now is off the kickoff. They had an opportunity, but a 50-50 will keep them out of the net at least momentarily. This is the Complexity that we've been waiting to turn up the heat with, and I cannot wait to see what they've got in store if they keep taking shots like that. AJG even trying to get involved in the shooting options here. As again, this has actually been a more quiet series from CRR than anybody else. In this game, he has stepped up. In the first one, it's rather concerned. He had 100 points and very few solid shots. So now the Complexity is starting to cook a little bit. Let's see if they can take the heat in the kitchen, or are they going to overextend? Almost a breakaway play at a loss, but not quite enough for FURIA to tie it.
They're really trying, though, and there's plenty of time for them to be able to here. There was an attempt at a pass there to Lost. He realized didn't have the boost of the momentum to be able to get up and touch the ball, so it switches over to Jans, who is likely going to try to get the pass over to Lost. He's not able to get into position, and the ball doesn't come off the backboard quickly enough. It's still a good opportunity for FURIA. That's going to be a slow roll in front of the goal line. Easy for RazeBull to turn away. And actually easy, it looks like, for RazeBull to transition into an offensive play. It's a pass over to CRR at the midfield. FURIA able to successfully keep this one out of their side and turn it back over to an offensive play. But that's where the momentum is going to stall out. This is a scary ball right here for Complexity, but they're able to take it away at the very top of that goal line.
Yeah, it's been very close calls on either side here, though. For FURIA, a lot of last-second saves, and for Complexity, it's just been them scrambling back to hopefully get prepared for what is always going to be an offense that FURIA will respond with. A couple of bumps in a row, though, could lead way to an opening. RazeBull off the backboard. Where's the follow? CRR denied, but there still needs to be another touch. AJG just barely unable to get past that defense, and Gan the other way. This one's popped high. The demo creates a smoke screen. Can CRR survive it? RazeBull absolutely can. He'll follow it up here, and FURIA holding on to any momentum they can find. They want to hold this until the very last second. Yan with a shot, and it will make it in! Complexity cannot hold on as FURIA overwhelmed them in the skies.
I'm pissed. I'm so upset. What a shot. Okay. Complexity, this is the second time this has happened now where they kind of celebrate a little too early. It feels like lackluster defense, right? It feels like almost over-aggression. that comes through at a very pivotal and critical time. And now we're going to see an overtime. This is... Oh, potentially something to come through. Complexity, they had the chance. AJG is going to be able to keep this one alive. It's a back pinch. Goes over to CRR. It's a pass upward, but it's 3 members that engage on that one. AJG, once again, going to be able to find a recovery, but it touches the ground there. FaZe, unfortunately, going up along the wall, trying to find an angle to drop down on. And it just wasn't quick enough. So that means it's still match point opportunity if FURIA can find this next goal.
Oh, but at the same time, Complexity, they do not want to go down that easily. Although, when Lost has flip resets like that, you might need a bit of a different game plan here. Maybe one like this. No, Lost a barely last-second touch here, and somehow Yan is able to read that one and clear it out to the side. Can't get much further than FaZe, though. A 50-50 absolutely goes in favor of Complexity, but where's the follow-up? Yan very quickly to get there and to at least not allow Complexity another shot. 30 seconds removed, it can't help but feel like Complexity should have at least put a shot on target instead. Now they're on their back heel, having to play defense the other way.
Man, I said it, we've seen 12-second overtimes, we've seen 3-minute overtimes here today. I have a feeling we're not going to get past a minute and a half on these two just because of how decisive both teams have been and how much commitment they've been able to provide here. Lost gets interrupted on that. Oh my, okay, that's not what I was expecting. All right, that is not the shot I thought would make it through.
I saw a little bit of an overextension here at a Card, but I was like, no, surely he's going to be able to get to this, right? I think Card thought the same thing, but it's just barely over his head, barely on in, and that word barely has been the name of the game here. Narrow margins for both teams, yet somehow, some way, it is Complexity in this overtime that walk away victorious. CRR absolutely stepped up after a lackluster game number 1. He gets a hat trick in 7 shots. That offensive pressure was almost entirely because of him.
Absolutely. You got 3 assists as well from FaZe. So it's these team plays that are really coming through for Complexity and that have consistently in the past. I'm really excited to see that they were able to, like I said, regain that stride. Just because, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When Complexity played FURIA earlier, right, it was bad. Like I'm sorry. I feel like people are forgetting potentially how badly Complexity performed against FURIA in terms of the winners finals. It was an 0-3, and CRR was the only one that was like able to do anything. I think there was one point where FaZe in the first game got 1 goal. Everything was done by CRR, and they were incapable of getting through FURIA. And not only that, it was like FURIA was kind of messing around and playing with them. They were freestyling around them, right? They were doing these crazy passing plays to ensure goals. And now Complexity has figured out, okay, we can push them back, right? We can kind of set them back on their heels a little bit. And I can't say exactly, I guess that's my question for you, Bass, is what exactly have they done? What are you noticing as like a change aside from maybe like actual better boost management and a little more aggression? What do you see them doing to do better in the series, I guess?
It just kind of feels like there's lack of hesitation here. Complexity before were a little bit trigger shy. We talked about this a lot of hesitation out of midfield, not really wanting to overextend due to the fact that FURIA were just kind of catching them on these breakaway plays the other way and almost always winning a 2v1, a 1v1 in their favor. Now it kind of feels like Complexity are just full sending on everything that they have, and it's working out. And although it doesn't always work out perfectly, as long as you can get that pressure up long enough, you should be able to put a solid shot on target. Because again, FURIA are not impenetrable. Many teams have taken this team down throughout this RLCS season, and Complexity themselves have had so much success through various different ways of play. The team plays out of this team are immaculate. The actual shooting and mechanics out of them are incredible. But at moments like this where it seems like they're getting overwhelmed by pressure, you don't really tend to notice those things. So now that it kind of feels like they're more confident in themselves, not as sporadic, not as chaotic and just sort of floundering all over the pitch, this should be where Complexity come into full form. And it could be an early goal here. No, not quite. AJG denied on the line by Lost, but it seems like the pressure is on, and FURIA need to find a way to escape it.
Well, once again, they've got plenty of time to be able to find a way here. It's back onto their side, though. AJG trying to disrupt Card. Not going to be able to make it there in time. Ooh, nice little deke right there. Even with 0 boost, Card is still able to navigate this one all the way to the backside here. It goes to the corner. Card gets a little bit more control. It's lost off the ceiling. He's not able to get a flip reset as he was looking for on that ball dropping down. But it is still now FURIA looking to make something happen as they're able to get the clutch here. It's a nice jump up by FaZe, making sure that one stays out of the face of the goal line. And now a little bit of a reorientation as Furia rotates back around. This should be a nice, easy one to lost, but actually it ends up going off the ceiling, so how far could he get it? Not very far.
Yeah, Pinch didn't necessarily keeping close with him, but at the same time, you have to imagine, I was going to say, that Furia should still hold on to possession here, but Complexity just kind of keeping it a little bit closer, and it's that nuisance playstyle that we've seen many times today actually works out in their favor. They're just not giving Furia uninterrupted touches. They are continually putting somebody on the ball, maybe not necessarily to turn it into a play in their favor, but at least to not give Furia any favor of their own. And there has been none. Through 2 minutes of play so far here, neither team been able to find the back of the net, and definitely not for a lack of trying. This could be the opener, though. CRR awkward out of midfield. AJG has to dive in immediately, and that's what I'm talking about. Complexity see even a glimpse of a play for Furia to string together, and they immediately send somebody to disrupt. Can they disrupt this one? Barely. Razebull a save on the line.
Oh, such a close one, and it's again Razebull, and that's what I was hoping for, right? You know, that's what I didn't see in the last series with Complexity against Furia in the winners final, where Furia got the 3-0, was I saw Razebull really pop off in the first series we watched them, and then the second one, you know, he didn't quite show up. It was all on CRR. So I like to see Razebull show up because I know this guy is capable of so much. Lost now looking for something, and Card is going to be able to secure it. Good play by Lost.
Oh, Furia, this is just the issue. Your mechanics are so good. Lost with the last-second touch there due to a pre-flip into it. He's got barely any boost. But when you dish it up like that, Card can't help but take that one and absolutely give Furia the lead. A well-earned one at that. We've seen this before. Well-earned goals don't necessarily mean everything if Complexity can quickly clap back, and they just might be able to. Not for Card and Lost trying to get this past midfield. And he'll be there to clean up the pieces. And now, as we go underneath 2 minutes to play, Complexity, what have you got in your back pocket? An ace up your sleeve, a magic magician's hat that you can pull a rabbit out of. What can you do to try and tie this up? Because if you do not, Furia move on to match point and have 3 games just to get a single one more to become the champions here for the SteelSeries Cup.
Oh, man. Rabbit out of the hat. Is that a hat trick? Furia again, you know, this is, it is technically game number 3 in this best of 7, but it is game number 2 that these two have played in this matchup. What a beautiful drop down there by Lost. So, you know, Complexity, they have less time, but they still have time because it is a best of 7. Yes, there's that one game in favor of Furia to start things out because of the winner's bracket run through. So they've got that confidence, but I'm very happy that Complexity has been able to turn some of this around. I just got to see a little bit more confidence from them. I'm used to them being such a confident team and, you know, being really proactive with their plays. And it kind of feels like with Furia, maybe that's necessary. Maybe that's something you have to do with Furia because of their style. It's so erratic, right? Maybe you have to transition reactive plays into proactive plays, and that's what Complexity's attempting.
I would 100% agree with that one. Again, the staple of most... Oh, wait a minute. Where's the shot? CRR tries to slide that by the bar. I completely lose my train of thought due to Complexity finally finding an offense with a little bit of fangs, but they still can't get it past the defense here. Furia over and over again proving that they have got both sides of the pitch absolutely on lock. They need to do it for a couple seconds further. 20 seconds to go. Oh my goodness. Card with a monstrous challenge out of midfield and in the corner. And he gets a bump. Card doing the heavy lifting and wasting enough time. That might secure it. Last challenge downfield here from Complexity. Pass out center. Finds his way to the backboard. Shot on target and Lost will deny. And Yan's on the follow-up. That'll do it. All he's got to do is let it hit the ground, and they will. Furia escape by the skin of their teeth and will win game number 4.
No way. Yeah. All right. You know, I asked for a full series. I don't even need a full series. Just give me more games. Like I would love to see. I would love to see the Complexity that I think everyone has expected to see. Right, like this is really tough because, you know, I feel like, you know, I've seen a lot of these teams, right? I feel like I'm calling it like it is in terms of Complexity, but I'm just so confused as to what's going on. It's like they keep recovering or regaining, and then they just kind of drop the ball, right? And now is not the time to drop the ball when it comes to the grand finals. Now is your last opportunity to handle that thing, right? And to get it to the end zone. So at this point, I need to see Complexity clean it up. I got to see who we know Complexity can be right now, because otherwise I think we're all just kind of really surprised about today.
I will say surprised no matter what. A Complexity versus FURIA final is definitely not what I was expecting. I'll keep it a buck. But, that being said, it's almost more surprising that Complexity have had a single game of really solid play here, and throughout the rest of it, it has been FURIA with overwhelming everything. Their defense has been on point. Their mechanics have been on point.
Yeah.
Their offense has had passing plays that would dazzle the likes of anybody. So, unfortunately for Complexity, your job's not done yet. Even if you win this game, all right, never mind. Holy cow, FURIA! You guys make my voice crack. What is this out of Yan?
This is what I'm talking about. FURIA has been unstoppable today. I've said it. There is no consistency at all, like the consistency that we have seen in FURIA from game number 1 until now. There's nothing better than that. When it comes to Rocket League, I mean, there is nothing better than having the cohesion that we are seeing in this team. Again, the team plays that we are seeing, particularly between Lost and Yan, and then, of course, Card on the backside, you know, and on more of these defensive rotations. Look at these plays. It's absolutely insane. That, and then the angles have been so good. So that's another thing FURIA hasn't really done as much of against Complexity because they've been unable to, is getting those double taps off the backboard. That was something we saw a lot from them. Complexity is making that really difficult, though, so they got to look for these banger shots.
And I gotta look for something to kind of equal the caliber, if you will. It feels like FURIA have just kind of come out with these banger goal after banger goal, while Complexity, if they do get goals, it's really nitty-gritty. They gotta bump somebody off the play. You gotta, well, you know what? He's probably watching this one, so might as well shout him out. In the words of Jorby, one of the best ways to get past a team with defense like this, can't beat them, delete them. And we haven't seen enough of that. You mentioned the demos before, but there have not been enough in comparison to a FURIA who have ruled the skies. Complexity struggling to slow down the South American squad.
Oh, it's looking good for FURIA, man. You know, it's funny just to think about FURIA as a team and how there has been so much of an expectation for FURIA, and in RLCS how difficult it has been for them. And now, this is literally what you would expect. When you look at these 3 players' names, right, coming over to NA, you would expect them to absolutely be devastating in a very good way for them. But that's not really the case, or that's at least not what we saw. Now, this is exactly what I wanted to see. This is the style that I was really hoping they would bring here. And I'm really confident in this FURIA team. Again, I want a series, though. I swear to God. That's all. That's it. That's all. I swear, I'm not even rooting for a particular team. I don't care. I just want there to be more than 4 in this best of 7, and particularly because it's only 3, because of the 1-game win, the bye, because FURIA went through the upper bracket.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, it's not just Complexity who have struggled to get multiple games off them. It's literally everybody. The most amount of games that FURIA have given up today has been 1 in every series. They dropped a game to Gen.G, they dropped a single game to Spacestation, didn't even drop a game to Complexity in the upper finals, and now here in the grand finals, it might be the same old story here. FURIA with a run of absolute dominance today, almost never even looking vulnerable, and now that we've been able to see them enough, we can understand why. The mechanics on point for this team, the passing plays on point for this team, and on top of all of that, their speed is helping them out in more ways than we can count, whether it's recoveries back into their own half or their ability to just read these plays in the sky before anybody Complexity can even get a touch. FURIA have just looked like the FURIA of old. This is the same team that was able to get a top 4 at Worlds. Question is whether or not they can get a top 1 here in the SteelSeries Cup. They hold on for another 2.5 minutes? Absolutely can. And Jolly, I'm thinking it's rather likely with the way that they're playing, although, hold on! Even then, when Complexity find such a perfect passing play, it turns into a goal for FURIA. Hats off, this has been immaculate out of this FURIA squad.
All right. This is it. You know, I was really hoping, you hope especially with how close all of the series have been today, particularly the upper bracket runs. We had a lot of, 4-game series, not 5-game series, unfortunately, but it seemed really good. But again, that was my concern with Complexity, right, is just showing their inability to be consistent on this. I'm kind of disappointed in how inconsistent they've been today, not gonna lie. I'm very, very impressed, very happy with FURIA as a team. This is what I expect them to be capable of. I'm super stoked on this, but my goodness, Complexity, they've got so many of these opportunities that they're just kind of whiffing here. CRR, of course, doesn't have any boost on this one, so he's not able to find the touch. That means it goes over to Card. He's gonna be able to get it past 1. All right, we got a defender at least on board here. I would love to see another game, but I think you're right, Bass. It's not looking like that.
100 seconds left, and listen, I don't necessarily believe miracles, but I definitely don't believe in them when it's the middle of April and nowhere near Christmas. So, Complexity, you got a lot to do here in these closing seconds of this game, but anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Complexity. They have shown their resiliency, but they're not showing right now is offensive pressure. Somebody's got to go out to midfield here. I know that there were multiple demos, but oh boy, passing plays like that are not enough. And even the most immaculate passing plays that we've seen, the spectacular 1-2 back and forth, have been denied by FURIA. Again, they have just been all over this ball on offense and defense both. They have just had so many nice plays. I'm not even going to react to that one. As much as I should with the last second save out of CRR, that's just what we've come to expect. FURIA turning shots out of nothing.
Less than a minute left. Shots out of nothing, that's what they continue to do. Man, it's stylish plays. It's super fast-paced. I love everything I'm seeing from FURIA. Look at that reposition. Oh, God, so good. Lost. Oh, and no way. That one's going to just be tipped up by Card. It's going to hit the top of the crossbar. AJG is going to find another one, and now things are even more dire here. This Complexity is down 2.
I cannot believe it. Complexity, as soon as I think there's no glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, you somehow illuminate it yet again. 34 seconds to go. If they can get a kickoff goal here, there is a chance. They kind of fake off the kickoff, and it doesn't really work out. They had a perfect play to go right back to their third defender, and it's not going to work because here come Lost. Flip reset 1, flip reset 2. Waste enough time, and this is Toodaloo. 3-1 here with 20 seconds to go. I'm thinking FURIA are walking down the road to victory yet again. King Card gets his crown back, and they will be the SteelSeries Cup champions. Complexity, try as you might. You just ain't got the time on your side. And FURIA all the time in the world for their final victory lap. Into the goal it goes, but the results say the same. 4-1 in the game, 4-1 on the scoreline. FURIA are your SteelSeries Cup champions.
Absolutely incredibly done. FURIA did not drop a beat for a moment today. There were no weaknesses. There were no signs of them being able to be toppled by any team. And as good as they beat everybody. As good as any other team might have looked, it does not matter. FURIA had everything all day today. We saw them play the very first series. We got to see them play several series here. We got to see almost every single team, actually, which is my other favorite part about this. M80 is unfortunately the only one we didn't get to see on broadcast here. But you know what? FURIA, I've got a really good feeling, and I'm convinced that coming into this next split, it's going to be certainly a different scene than we saw in the winter major, or the winter split.
I've got to agree with you. This was a big breakout day for FURIA, and they didn't even make it look close.